Hi, I'm Andy, 2 Echo 0 Victor Papa X-Ray from Heckington and District Radio Group. Over the next few sessions I'm going to be talking about the United Kingdom Accredited Clubs series of amateur radio contests run by the RSGB, the Radio Society of Great Britain, known as the UKACs. I'm hoping this will encourage some of you to give these contests a try. But if I'm honest, I'm hoping you'll join our contest group, as they're team-based contests and we could really do with a few more members and points. The bigger the team, the more points we score and the higher up that league table we go. Before I say anything more, I do want to stress that I don't claim to be an expert when it comes to contesting. I've been doing the UKCs for a very long time. My first contest was in 2012. And I've been doing them almost continuously ever since. That's because these contests are addictive, so be warned. I'd also like to emphasise that this is my take on the contests and how I do them. There are far more experienced and successful contesters out there than me. Everyone has their own technique. If you start contesting, then no doubt over time you'll develop your own. But if you decide to give them a go, then whatever your technique, good luck. So, what are amateur radio contests? What's contesting all about? And in particular, what are the UKACs? Why would you want to do them? Let's just talk in general terms to begin with. The basic aim in an amateur radio contest is usually to work as many other stations as you can in the time allowed. Points are awarded, and at the end of the contest, an individual or a team or both wins. There might be a league table or tables, as there is in the UKACs, and various classes of entry, so there can be more than one winners in each class. While contests are by their nature a competition, you can look at them in several different ways. If you're naturally competitive and you're into amateur radio, then what's not to like? Contesting is a great way to combine both. If you're more of a team player and you prefer to contribute to a collective effort, then being club-based, the UKACs are definitely the way to go. But even if you're not competitive at all, a series like the UKACs enables you to test yourself and your station over a long period, 12 years in my case. By taking part regularly, you'll be able to see how you and your station is progressing, or not, as the case may be. You'll see your score improving as you tweak your station and you adjust your technique. You'll see the difference that different radios, antennas, locations, if you do them portable, conditions, all these things, all these things affect your score. The more legs you do, the more practice you get, and the more you learn. Another great thing about contesting, especially if you do it as part of a team, is that it encourages you to remain active. There have been times when I didn't do much radio, but not wanting to let myself or the side down encouraged me to carry on with the contests, and doing that kept my interest going. In some of the bigger teams I've contested for, there's been great camaraderie, a sense of team spirit and effort. We're all in it together. We all kept each other fired up and wanting to get our team up that league. There's a huge sense of achievement when you do well, whatever you judge well to mean. Perhaps for you, that's not coming last, not being bottom of the league, or perhaps you want to be in the top 200. About 400 to 600 people take part. Maybe you want to be in the top 100, 50, top 10, whatever. You can set your personal target and go for it. Contesting is like everything good in life. The more you make the effort, the more you get out. Reserving a time for radio each month means that you'll be there when conditions are good and when they're not so good. Over the years, there's been some amazing contest nights. Nights when conditions were just unbelievable. Working far into Europe or across the Atlantic on a band where that hardly ever happens. Working a square you've never worked before, or those occasions when a band goes absolutely crazy and you break every record in your personal logbook. I've been known to charge indoors yelling to my wife, "Oh my God, the band has gone nuts tonight." Mind you, if your spouse, if you've got one, is anything like mine, they'll probably look at you as if you're completely bonkers. I usually get, "Really, darling? Well, that's nice." That's usually about the best I can hope for. But of course, it's not always great conditions. Contests can be hard going. There'll be times when you have to grind out a measly score and you wonder why you're bothering. But as you walk to your shack and begin another contest, you always get that little flutter of excitement. Will it be drudgery, moderate fun, off the scale good? You just never know. Whatever the case, your score counts and every point matters. That for me is the excitement of contesting. So how are scores calculated? Scoring systems in contests vary, but in the UKACs you get 1 point for each kilometre between you and each of the stations you work. Some contests also feature multipliers or bonus scores. In the UKACs you get 500 bonus points for the first station you work in each 4-digit locator square. We'll talk about locator squares in a moment. So in the UKACs you're trying to work as many stations as you can, in as many squares as you can, and the more distant they are, the better. Now you might be wondering how your scores are recorded and judged or validated. After all, couldn't we just make up our logs? How would anyone know? Well, in every contest there'll be an exchange which you must complete and record accurately for the contact to be valid. In the UKACs you must successfully complete the following exchange with every station you work. You must exchange call signs, signal reports, serial numbers starting 01 and counting up with everyone you work, and 6-digit locator squares. You've got to record the date and the time of each contact, always in UTC, Universal Time, and each station records those exchanges in their log. I use a paper one, but many contest stations use a computer logging application. You then upload, if you've done it by computer, or transcribe, if you've done it on paper, that log onto the RSGB contest system, and we'll have a look at that a little later. Logs are compared and contacts are then validated by the RSGB validator. If any of the details don't match, then that contact will be void and the score for that contact won't count. So let's say I work G4XYZ, who sends me the following exchange. He says 20VPX, my call sign, you're 59, that's the signal report, 051, that's the serial number, meaning I'm the 51st person that station has worked, in Italy Oscar 83 kilowatt whiskey, their locator. But I mishear that. Conditions aren't very good, it's a weak signal, and I mishear it, and I log down the serial number as 054. When I submit that log, it will be compared to the log sent in by G4XYZ. He will have recorded 051, but I recorded 054. So that contact won't count even though I got the rest of the report correct. So 100% accuracy is the name of the game. The UKAC contests run throughout the whole year with legs on 6 metres, 4 metres, 2 metres, 70 centimetres, 23 centimetres and microwave each month. On a Tuesday and Thursday evening from 8 till 10:30, that's local time, remembering contests we use UTC. And you can take part in as many as you wish, one of them or all of them, or perhaps you just want to do one of those bands each month. Whatever, that choice is yours. The UKACs are multi-mode contests, but most contesters use upper sideband. Now, if you don't have upper sideband, a radio that does upper sideband, you haven't got a sideband facility, then there are separate FM only contests called the FMACs, and there's also FT8 digital mode contests called the FT8ACs. I probably won't cover those now, but I might get to them later on. The points you score accrue over the year. So let's say you do 1 in January, 3 in February, 1 in March, none in April. The scores accrue for the whole year, both for the club, which you enter for, us, Heckington District Radio Group, hopefully, and for you individually. There are club and individual league tables. Now, I said I'd explain the locator squares because they are important in the way these contests work. In amateur radio, we have a universal system for indicating approximate location. It divides the world into grid squares. It's a bit like the postcode system, but it's universal around the world. The system is called the Maidenhead Locator or QTH locator system. Most radio contests use the first 6 digits of your locator, and typically we all use 6-digit locators to explain where we are on the Earth's surface, if you like. In Heckington, the 6-digit locator is Italy Oscar 92 Uniform X-ray. So if you're in Heckington, that's the locator you must send during that exchange. You can look up the locator wherever you are, and that's the locator you must use. The bonus system, remember I said there are 500 points awarded for every square you work, uses the first 4 digits only, Italy Oscar 92 in our case. So if you work 10 stations in Italy Oscar 92, each with a different 5th and 6th digit, you'll only get the one bonus 500 point score for Italy Oscar 92. So your aim is to work at least one station in as many 4-digit squares as you can. Now I'll show you a map of the UK divided into the 4-digit squares, and you can see on that map that there are quite a lot to aim for just in the UK. And of course in some contests you might get beyond that. That's where technique comes in. So do you aim for beam if you're using a Yagi 1 square at a time? You know, do you decide you're going to try and work Juliet Oscar 01 Essex way, basically down into Kent? So do you beam in that direction and stay beamed in that direction until you get at least one copy in Juliet Oscar 01? Tick, 500 points. And you work your way around the country trying to tick off those locator squares. That's one way of doing it. Or do you just beam wherever it takes your fancy and knock off the squares as you go? Do you go for if conditions are very good in one direction, do you focus on those squares, or do you try and get the squares in where conditions are less good first to get them in the log and then move on to the easier ones later? Choice is yours. Lots and lots of different ways of doing it. I'm not going to go through all the rules here because happily you can read them yourself on the RSGB contest webpage. We'll have a look at the page and how it's arranged, because if you begin contesting, it will become your contest home and you'll become very familiar with it. So let's have a look at the RSGB contest system. So the web address is rsgbcc.org and the /VHF/. I don't know if you actually need that or whether that just comes up on mine because that's where I go. Let's just check. Yeah, there we go. So if you go to rsgbcc.org and then click on VHF Pages, there we go. So here's the front page. On the left hand side you can see a calendar and the dates of all the contests. So tomorrow you can see there's another contest called the 144 MHz Trophy, but here in the week you'll see the UKAC. So on Tuesday the 10th of September is the 432 MHz 70 SEMS FMAC, and the one we're interested in, the UKAC. And all the other contests are listed on the calendar going forward for the next few months. In the middle section you'll see the actual contests for the month listed here. So the next one up in the UKACs is there on Tuesday the 10th, 1900 to 21:30 UTC, 8 o'clock till 10:30 local time, 70 centimetre contest, and we'll click on that in a moment. Just over on the right hand side, these are the claimed scores for the latest batch of legs. These have not been adjudicated, but they're the claimed scores. So last week was the 2 metre UKAC. If we click that, you can see the claimed scores so far for that one, and I should be somewhere fairly low down. Where am I? Let's find me. There I am, 66th. 2E0 VPX in Italy Oscar 92. I worked 49 stations and so on. My longest distance one was GM4 CXM, 422 kilometers. I was using a teleelement beam running 100 watts. So I'm currently standing at 66th out of 167. Not too bad, not too bad. But that hasn't yet been adjudicated. When it is, it will appear in the adjudicated list, and then the overall league positions, the latest overall score. If we click on that one, you can see the latest league table. There are 3 league tables: local clubs, general clubs, and individuals. Now we're in the local clubs league. Local means all the members taking part for us must be within 80 kilometres of our base, which is at the pavilion in Heckington. So we are currently sitting at 17th out of 40, oops, gone off the bottom of the page, 48 clubs. Not too shabby. You can see the results for each band so far. There's a general clubs league for clubs that have members all over the country and around the world, and then there's an individual league. So let's click on the individual league. I am at 46th. There I am. So you can see my scores for each band: 6 meters, 4 meters, 2 meters, 70 sems, 23 sems, and microwave super high frequency. I don't do those, so I've got no score there for super high frequency, but you can see my scores so far. I've done 8 legs in that band, 7 legs in that one, 8 in that one, 8 in that one, 7 in that one, and none in microwave. And my total score, 2,479. I've submitted 38 logs so far this year. So I'm 46th out of 512. So I'm in the top 10%, which is pretty good. I'm pretty chuffed with that. Now, let's have a look at next week's 70 Sems contest. So if we click on that, we see the rules. Here are the dates of all the legs for the rest of the year, in fact for the whole year. You can see, I'm not going to go through all these in detail because you can look at them yourselves, but just very sort of broadly, you can see the modes we're allowed to use. Most of it is in sideband. You can see the required exchange. Now I spoke about this in the video previously, didn't I? You have to give a signal report, a serial number, and a 6-character or digit locator square. You get 1 point per kilometre plus your squares bonus, which I've also spoken about. Now, the contest is divided into sections. There's an open section, a restricted section, and a low power section. The one I usually enter is the restricted one. The power output must not be more than 100 watts so and 50 watts on 4. So if you want to do the restricted section, that's the requirement. But you can do a low power one if you want. If you only want to run no more than 10 watts, you could enter the low power section. There are some other restrictions in these, so you just need to pick which one of them is best for you. I wouldn't go for the open. That's for the high power boys. Excuse me. So you'll be in the restricted or the low power section. And then the rest of the rules, which you can read through yourself, are given here. You do have to be a member of the RSGB or an accredited club, an affiliated club. And happily, Heckington and District Radio Group is an affiliated club. So when you come to upload or transcribe your log, you'll name Heckington and District Radio Group as your club, and that will gain you entry. And of course, gain us your points. Down here, at the bottom of the page, is where you either transcribe or upload your log. If you've made a log electronically with a computer logging system, you can click on there and upload it. Or if you've made a paper log, you can click here and transcribe it. Transcribe means you literally do have to type into their system your log It can take a bit of time to begin with, but actually I don't find it particularly difficult or time consuming. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes after the contest usually to do my paper log. I won't take you through, well, I might take you through the actual system later on. We'll do the contest next week, and perhaps I'll record my logging of that contest so you can see how it's done. So this becomes your home page, if you like, when it comes to contesting. All the contests you enter, you can see the dates and times, the rules, you can transcribe or upload your logs, you can see that the RSGB have received them, you can see where you are in the league tables and so on, and keep an eye on the contests coming up. Next time we'll have a look at my contest station, how it's arranged. It won't be the same as yours, but seeing mine might give you some ideas.